You know what's fun? Tier lists. You know what's not so fun? Spending months struggling with voice training mistakes that could have been avoided. Today, we're ranking the 9 most common voice feminization mistakes on a completely arbitrary but highly entertaining scale, from understandable errors to hostage situation.
You kidnapped Jack Black? That's illegal.
Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. I've been teaching trans voice training for quite a while now, and I have seen every mistake in the book. Some are no big deal, some will slow you down, and some, jail. Straight to jail.
Believe it or not, jail.
This is going to be part education, part lighthearted roasting, because let's be honest, everyone has made at least one of these mistakes. Let's get into it. Mistake number 1, over-focusing on pitch and ignoring resonance. We're starting with the most common mistake, and if you've seen some of my videos, be my backup singers here. Everyone believes feminine voices are higher and assumes the secret to unlocking their feminine voice is cranking the pitch up into the stratosphere.
Space, the final frontier.
But here's the thing, pitch is just one piece of the puzzle, and it's not even the most important one. A voice can be high and still read as androgynous or even masculine, and a voice can be on the lower side and still perceived as feminine. What really makes the difference? Resonance, the brightness and darkness of a vocal sound, distinct from its average pitch. So if you've been hyper-fixating on pitch while ignoring resonance, congratulations, you've just earned the S tier, Peak Struggle Award. Welcome to the club. Mistake number 2, using falsetto/head voice. If you're trying to feminize your voice and you end up sounding like Minnie Mouse, we need to talk.
What happened?
Falsetto is characterized by a lighter, higher sound, so I get why people go for it. But it's also weaker, airy, and it can be disconnected from your chest voice or modal register, which is what most people use in everyday speech. It lacks the strength and stability that make a voice sustainable in everyday conversation. Now, does this mean falsetto is bad? No. It's a fun color that you might use when excited or while laughing, but if it's your main speaking voice, that's another story. This one gets an A tier. Understandable, have a nice day. Admirable goal, but the execution was lacking. 4 from the German judge, so let's work on that. Mistake number 3, too breathy. Sometimes when working on lightening the voice, i.e. reducing vocal fold mass or vocal weight, students will reduce the vocal fold adduction so much that it will result in a breathy sound. A little airiness can be cute, sometimes, but full-time breathiness, that can be tiring, inefficient, and not sustainable. It's giving,
I'm not bad, I'm just drawn that way.
Unless you are Jessica Rabbit, this might not be the vibe. Again, this is a super fun color to integrate from time to time, but usually this is not a desirable sound for the majority of everyday speech. This one lands in A tier. Understandable, have a nice day. Because it's a very normal mistake, but you will probably need to correct it. If you're working on lightening your voice and are having this issue, check out my video on straw phonation for some follow-along exercises. Mistake number 4, too nasally. Nasality can happen when the act of raising your larynx to create a brighter resonance causes your soft palate to fall, sending too much air through your nose. The result? Fran Drescher energy.
Oh, Mr. Stanfield, stop. Go on.
One quick way to work on maintaining an open airway while raising the larynx is to raise the larynx, then breathe through your mouth with your nose pinched. It should sound like brighter breathing. Once you can do this effortlessly, you're ready to add phonation again. This gets B tier. You're on the right track, but also not. You're getting some elements right, but it's still not quite working. Mistake number 5, doing too much, too fast. If you've ever thought, I should be able to read an entire novel in my new voice after 2 weeks of training, I love your ambition, but no.
So, fun fact. I was playing through the old Final Fantasy VII with my wife, which has no voice acting.
Oh.
So For about a week, we were playing 3 hours of that a night, and I was voice acting all of the characters, each with a slightly different vocal characteristic, as a form of training, and I injured my voice so bad that I could not talk for a week.
How is this the first time I'm learning about this? Oh my God.
Nailed it. I know. Thank you. Moving on.
There are so many muscles and habits involved in the creation of a vocal sound, and both muscles and habits take time to adapt. If you can say a single vowel sound in a way that gives you gender euphoria, you are already winning. That's a foundation we can build on. Trying to speed run voice training leads to frustration, burnout, and bad habits. So for everyone sprinting toward fluency on week 1, A tier, understandable, have a nice day. I love the energy, but slow down. Mistake number 6, over-relying on feedback tools. Now don't get me wrong, voice training apps and other feedback tools are great. But if you're only relying on voice tools and you're not actually listening to yourself, we have a problem. Because in the streets, this and these are the only feedback tools you have, so make sure you are practicing using them. Also, please turn off the pink and blue color feedback in the settings of voice tools, because you do not need that kind of gender reveal energy in your life.
Why do you keep doing that to yourself?
This one is B tier. You're on the right track, but also not. Tools are useful, but your own perception matters more. Mistake number 7, trying too hard / perfectionism. I hate to say it, but in voice training, the harder you try, the worse it can get.
I don't believe it.
Voice is one of these deeply annoying things where trying more can sometimes create tension and actually make everything harder. If your throat is clenched and your brow is furrowed and your breath is shallow and you're overthinking every sound, stop. A question I ask my students all the time, and a question I say to myself all the time, is what if it were easy? How would you approach this exercise if you believed it were easy to do? You will be surprised at the change this simple question can create. This is C tier. You're fighting for your life, and I see that. Because perfectionism isn't just slowing you down, it's actively making this harder. Mistake number 8, not practicing for real life. If you can only use your voice when you're alone in your room, but you panic in conversations, you're missing a crucial step.
Oh yeah? I'll believe it when I see it!
Voice training is about more than just getting the right sounds. It's about handling cognitive load challenges while speaking. Because in the real world, you're not just saying vowels in a quiet room. You're ordering coffee, having conversations, reacting in real time. This one gets D tier. We need to have a conversation, literally. And if you don't know how to start practicing for those types of real-world challenges, check out my free book, Practice Games for Endurance in Trans Voice Work, which includes a huge number of games designed to slowly build up the cognitive load challenge while trans voice training. Mistake number 9, not being kind to yourself. This is the real worst mistake. If you beat yourself up for every little thing, you're just making this harder. Voice training takes time. I get that it can feel like you've spent a long time waiting to sound the way you want to, or that things feel urgent right now because... But not only do you need patience, you deserve patience, you deserve encouragement, and you deserve to take up space. If you're constantly tearing yourself down, congrats, F tier, jail, straight to jail.
This kind of behavior is never tolerated in Boracua.
And I will find you, and I will force feed you self-love affirmations. So, how did you do? Which mistakes have you made? Let me know in the comments. Also, literally no judgment. This is just so that you notice that you're doing them. Okay, a little judgment.
Right to jail.
If you want a clear roadmap for voice training without these mistakes, I have a free hour-long masterclass called Change the Gender of Your Voice, No Hormones or Surgeries Required. Link in the description. That's all for today. I've been Renee, and I hope this helps.
How you feeling? Feeling good?
I might need a few takes of this.
Yeah, no
Warning you. Sometimes when we were, let's do it again. You're fighting for your life, and I see that. Because for, one more time, having conversations, reacting. You're gonna throw something to me. Having conversations, reacting in real time. I didn't know the last line. So can you